Hey guys, Dan Heilman back with another video. I am back from vacation. I took the family up north for the Labor Day holiday, so I've been gone a couple days, haven't posted. We're going to be back to posting daily videos. So what has happened the last couple days? Well, we've had some dumpy poos on a lot of coins because we've had one of those low volume weekends, and you know, we love that market makers love to take advantage of that, liquidate lots of longs. So we've had a lot of longs liquidated. Let me clean up the chart a little bit, turn off my trading indicators, and what do we got going on here? So for Bitcoin, we're looking very good. Now Ethereum does seem to kind of show some weakness here. You can see we're still kind of trapped in this falling wedge pattern, and you can see we have not yet broken out of it. Bitcoin, however, has broken out of this same or similar falling wedge pattern from right here. You can see we've broken out of that. We still are right now attempting to try to break out of this channel here, so it's looking strong for Bitcoin. We did, however, test the bull market support band on Bitcoin, where Ethereum is well above the bull market support band. This shows a lot of strength for Ethereum. So it's kind of some interesting things happening here. Let's look at Bitcoin dominance and Ethereum dominance. So Bitcoin dominance on the daily chart is potentially going to show some strength here. I have a bunch of indicators here saying that we basically have the daily cycle low end. This is my Camel Finance indicator. It's saying it's somewhere in this window, but we also have this bullish divergence, this green triangle right here, showing that Bitcoin dominance may see some strength here. And usually this either happens when Bitcoin dumps and altcoins dump more, or it can happen when Bitcoin pumps and altcoins don't pump as much, because a lot of people will move their money back into Bitcoin. They'll see Bitcoin making some big moves. So I think that maybe we see a very large move for Bitcoin over the next couple of weeks to a month, and altcoins may lag behind this a little bit. I think we might come back up here and potentially retest one of these and then finally fall back down. So I think this is the bullish scenario for cryptocurrencies. In a worst case scenario, Bitcoin would dump some more and altcoins would dump even more. Now, what would maybe cause that? We do have the Ethereum Foundation. Excuse me. If you follow Benjamin Cowen, he's someone that I highly value his opinion, because he has been in this in a long time and he is usually fairly correct in a lot of his calls. Ethereum Foundation said, transparency notice, over several weeks this month, the Ethereum Foundation will convert 10K ETH via centralized exchanges as part of our ongoing work to fund R&D, grants, and donations. So the Ethereum Foundation is kind of the centralization of Ethereum. They basically go through and, you know, vote for changes on the blockchain, and conversions will take place over multiple smaller orders rather than a large single transaction. So it means it's not going to be dumping. Now, however, 10K ETH is not a lot, because the total supply of ETH is 120 million ETH, right? So it's really not a lot. And I'm kind of surprised to see Ben say that we're going to go all the way back down to, what did he say, 3,400? So basically the bull market support band. The bull market support band, again, for Ethereum is all the way down here at, yeah, about 3,300 right now. So that would be quite a big dump. That would be a literal 24% dump. I don't know that that's going to happen, but anything is possible. This is crypto, and pretty much anything is possible there. So that is a possibility for sure, that we could see something like that. Let me go back to my normal, yeah, here we go. So that would definitely be possible. That would definitely be possible. So another option is that we just have Bitcoin have a massive rally. If we break out of this channel, we do have this yearly resistance here. So this is the 3-year, or sorry, like 7-year resistance, 8-year resistance line. We are now back below this, unfortunately. Now I have basically the total liquidity index here. So what these are is, this is net liquidity. This is a bunch of the central banks added together. And you can see that we've kind of been declining, right? So we're expecting rate cuts in September. It's now September, so happy September. We're expecting rate cuts, but that's not exactly the same thing as the Federal Reserve printing. You can see the Federal Reserve has been lowering their balance sheet. So we're not seeing that big injection of cash into the markets. So it's kind of interesting because, originally we were talking about these halvings, right? And in my opinion and my prediction from many years ago was the top of the bull market was going to be in, roughly October, which is next month already. Now, the top of the bull market for Bitcoin is a different thing than the top of the bull market for altcoins, because as I've said many times, Bitcoin usually leads and then the altcoins follow. So what we could see to cause Bitcoin dominance to go up, as I was getting to, is a huge pump from Bitcoin right now. We could see it, and we could hold this bull market support band. So this is kind of the battle of the bull market, right? You don't want to be closing too many weekly candles below this bull market support band, right? So if we go here, you can see we did close a couple back here, and this was quite a bad time for cryptocurrencies, right? So this red line right here is really the bull market. So if we start closing below this, which is 94,000, I would say we're pretty much done with the cycle. Again, we're getting close to the end. So I think we're going to see, personally, I think we're going to see one big pump for Bitcoin. Then this would mean that the rest of the altcoins will follow after this maxes out. So what we could see is, now we're above here, we could see a nice big pump up to 150. My prediction was 200K. And that was by the end of really October. So my prediction was we see 200K end of October. We maybe stabilize a little bit out here and then start to decline. But this section right here would be the real altcoin season. So we're seeing a little bit of an altcoin season right now. If I go into the cryptoverse real quick and just go to, this is a premium subscription I have through Ben. And if we go to charts and we go to altcoin season, where are we right now? So here is the altcoin index. It says we're kind of in the middle of altcoin and Bitcoin season. If you go on the 60-day, it actually says we're in a altcoin season right now, because altcoins have been performing better than Bitcoin. This is all this is saying, is that these altcoins have been doing better than Bitcoin, and that has been true. But it does seem that Ethereum seems to be kind of slowing down here, right? So if we do look at this, it does kind of look like, it does kind of look like we are slowing down here. And I do have a couple indicators that are saying, another thing that's interesting, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. We did have a daily cycle low that on the Camel Finance indicator in this window that picked this one right here as the daily cycle low. It has since deleted it. And now it's saying, all right, maybe that was not it. Now we're looking for a daily cycle low. So that's kind of interesting. Bitcoin now has basically not confirmed. Sorry, I almost said confirmed, but it has not confirmed it. But it says that with mid certainty that we have a cycle low here, meaning that we should not go below this price, or at least not close below it. You can always wick very quickly below it, but it's basically saying that the low is in for this cycle. Now, this should be a weekly cycle low as well. So last time we had a weekly cycle low for Bitcoin was down here, and you can see we did wick below it. So that doesn't mean you can't go below it, but we wicked below it. We didn't really close below this. We closed basically right on the line, and then we saw a very large pump of about 66%. So if we see something similar, that would be 66% would put us kind of right where my window is, right? So I mentioned if we were up here, so 66%, where's that put us? That puts us like up here at about 180K. So that would be a nice little pump. So what could we see? We could see Bitcoin pump over this next month, 2 months, and then see altcoins kind of have their day yet again. So we kind of go through these phases of altcoins. Another thing that makes me really bullish on Bitcoin is we got a green dot on the market cipher B indicator. So we see this big pullback and we have a green dot. Last time we had a green dot was back here, right at the bottom again. So I liked this confluence where we have a weekly cycle low. We have a green dot on market cipher B. This gives me a lot of confidence that the low is in, or at least near the low is in. And we got another green dot on market cipher B. You can see it right here, green dot. It does not print very often, and it's not always perfect, right? So it did print one up here, and then we did have a pullback below it, but then it printed another one right here. So we'll see what happens here. It could be the low is already in for Bitcoin, or we have a little bit lower, and then we could always retest this bull market support band yet again. But these moving averages down here, I would say if we start getting closer to this, then maybe the bull market is over in terms of all-time high prices. I don't think that's the case. I still am holding out for one bigger high for Bitcoin, and then we might see some broad-based altcoin season where we see Ethereum pump even more. We'll kind of see. I'm kind of on the fence of this one. We could see some weakness right now for Ethereum and altcoins, but however, Solana has broken out and is now, you know, showing a lot of strength, right? If we go on the 4-hour, we've broken out of this wedge pattern. Litecoin has broken out of the wedge pattern and could see a big pump. XLM is another one that was looking quite strong, at least recently, and it looks like it's kind of just slowing down a little bit. Aave, Sui, a lot of these are now doing pretty well. So if we go to another thing is the money, is the stablecoin dominance. You can see we have kind of picked we've made kind of a high here on I can't talk today, on stablecoin dominance, and you can see we are declining. That's good for cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin dominance, again, I said is looking like it wants to show some strength. Ethereum dominance is not blasting off. We've seen a couple weeks here now of decline, and it actually says the Camel Finance indicator is telling me that we might see a low around September 17th. It's interesting because that's about when we're supposed to have rate cuts. So maybe this declines into that, we get a rate cut, and then we see Ethereum and the altcoins pump. Solana dominance has kind of started to take over here. You can see we have a couple breakout signals, these white little tags, and Solana dominance has been showing some strength lately. Litecoin dominance is also kind of almost made like a little double bottom here, and potentially it looks like it might show some strength. Maybe we get another low in here. What else has been showing strength? Bitcoin Cash again is showing some strength the last couple of days, so that's interesting. So that has made almost a new high. We had a high back here in the beginning of July, but it looks like we have a high probability daily cycle low here, and so we could see some action with Bitcoin Cash. Sorry, Doge looks like maybe it's potentially bottomed. AVAX has been showing some strength recently as well. It's fighting with the bull market support band. Tron has been showing some strength as well. HBAR, even DOT is showing some strength here, where it's kind of making higher lows here, and we could see that potentially showing some strength here. Ton has been lagging, but that's what we kind of got. XRP has kind of been lagging as well. XRP has been not showing as much strength as some of the other altcoins. So it's interesting. I'm really going to be interested to see what happens here. If we look at Litecoin versus Ethereum, we potentially have the low in here, and maybe we're going to see some outperformance now. However, you can see we're kind of strong bearish. We're below this red cloud here of moving averages. So we'll see what happens there. Fartcoin has been finally showing some strength against Ethereum. I have a trillion indicators telling me that maybe the low is in for Fartcoin. So I don't know, maybe we see some overperformance again, but again, it depends on what happens with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin blasts to new all-time highs and continuously pumps now, I think we'll see some of the altcoins lag behind it, because a lot of people will move their money back into Bitcoin to kind of, people kind of try to follow these runners, which usually isn't that great of a practice, because you're usually going to be lagging that. Another interesting thing is if we go to, let's go to here, we'll go through here. Now, another interesting indicator is the total 3 minus USDT divided by Bitcoin. So this is something that Ben Cohen really likes to use here. You can add USDC if you want, but basically what he's saying usually is that we are going to go and find these range lows all the way down here. I don't know that is going to happen. That would be a very large pullback. Now, this could happen. However, the reason I'm talking about it is this could happen with a huge pump in Bitcoin, and basically that would drop this down to this range low, because he says, altcoin season, basically, let me clean this up here, it's kind of ugly. He's saying that altcoin season usually doesn't happen until these get down into this level. So I've drawn these, and I think maybe the low is already in, but he likes to draw it like this, where he has something like this, and something, you know, maybe like this, right? So if you draw it like this, he's saying that maybe we have this come all the way down here and then alt season can start. That is definitely a possibility, right? That's definitely, and that could also happen on Bitcoin pumping instead of Bitcoin dumping, right? So we'll see what happens. If we look at seasonality again while we're in here, again, seasonality is not the end all be all because, you know, although history usually is similar, it never repeats perfectly. But if you look at Bitcoin, we were planning on August being green, because if you look at the post-halving year, 2021, green, 2017, green, 2013, green, and then September was red. I think what people did was they were expecting a dump in September, and then they sold off a lot of their coins in August, which caused the dump to happen in August instead of September. I think a lot of people were saying, oh, September is going to be bearish, let's sell. And then maybe now September is actually going to be quite bullish. So that would be interesting. You can, it almost looks like last year. So 2024, July was green, August was about the same red, and maybe September is going to be green again, and then October and even November. So maybe we just continuously chug up through the end of the year and then see our altcoin season. If you look at Ethereum, it doesn't really look the same, because if you let's pretend that we're following exactly last year, you can see we were already way off. And if the next closest thing is something like 2021, which was also a post-halving year, you can see we had some big months in July and August, and then a dump in September. But then October was very bullish, so we could see something like that. If the year before, you can see September is actually the worst month for Ethereum. So again, take this with a grain of salt. This is just some stuff that can happen, but that's kind of my update on what's going on. I do predict Bitcoin is going to do very well over the next 3 months for sure, especially if we start breaking out of here. I'm in a long, which I'm a little bit negative on. I made a lot of altcoin trades, just some very short-term trades that went pretty well. So if you do want to try any leverage trading, I use Bitunix. It's my favorite exchange. So if I kind of just show you, I do have one long right now, a very large long on Bitcoin. I'm going to leave it open because, as I said, I think Bitcoin has the highest chance to have a big pump. You can see I am negative right now. I opened this trade about 113. I have a $200,000 position, but I'm only down about 4% right now with 3x leverage. So if you do want to leverage trade, affiliate link below. It helps me out, and it gives you guys a nice little discount on fees. So I am expecting this to get back into the positive, and I will close a very small amount around 16,800, but I am expecting a new all-time high for Bitcoin in the next couple months. 100%, I think that the top is not in yet for Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. That's it for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment below, and feel free to use those affiliate links below. I have a bunch of different exchanges. I have Bitunix, which is my favorite exchange for futures trading or even buying spot. They have very low fees. I have links for Coinbase. I have links for Market Cipher B, which is the trading indicator I use right here. And that's it for the video. Have a great day. See you guys.